Hello, my name is Luke, and I'm in software, and I want to help other people get into software because what did I do then? I don't know. Um, a lot of people help me get into software, and it's been really good to me. It's been amazing, actually. And, so I want to help other people get into software, and that's why I'm making this video. So, in this video, I want to talk about, learning new technologies. So, there's a lot of reasons why you might need to learn a new technology. Maybe you're starting a role and you have familiarity in part of the tech stack, but not a certain one, and so you want to learn that. Or maybe you're seeing a lot of jobs in the marketplace that are a certain technology that you have no experience with, so you want to learn that. Or maybe you're just getting started, and so you want to try a couple things. So whatever the reason is, let's talk about how you learn a new technology. And the answer is very short. The answer is you do a project. And I'll spend some time talking about that answer because that's a short answer and bears some talking about, I suppose. So, what are the different ways you can learn something? You can read about it. You can watch videos about it. You can do a tutorial. You can do a course. You can do like coding challenges, right? So those are all examples of ways to learn a new language. And I think that project-based is the best way. And so let's talk about that. So let me talk about my experience for a second. So I've had quite a few roles in software. I've only been in software since 2016, but in that amount of time, I've had a lot of roles. I think 6, if I'm counting correctly. So in each of those roles, I've had to learn something new, a new technology. I think that it's true to say that each role I've only had experience in 50% of the tech stack before starting. And so I've done it quite a few times where I have to learn something new. And every time I've not learned the technology prior to going into the job. So I've learned it on the job. And so what that has meant is instead of learning through tutorials, I've learned by doing. So I have something I'm supposed to be working on, and while I'm working on that, that's how I'm learning the technology. So a specific instance I'd like to share, because it's the perfect use case, is I think it was my 5th role. I was working at a place building a very large monolithic project, and we were using Vue.js as the front end framework. And then, several months in, they, for reasons, said we are going to do a rewrite in React. And I had no experience in React. And on the development team I was on, I think all except for one had no experience in React. So like one person had some experience in React. And so the way the company approached it was they said, okay, we need to do this rewrite in React. You guys don't know React, you people, because not just guys. So we'll take 2 weeks, I think is what it was. Learn React, and then we'll start the rewrite after 2 weeks when you have gotten your feet wet. And so I think all of my coworkers went the approach of tutorials, courses, those sorts of things. Like they, went to YouTube, Udemy, wherever they found a course that they liked, and there's lots of discussion about which courses and that sort of thing. And they spent 2 weeks going through courses. My approach was different, and I think, let me back up. I think that their approach worked for them, worked well enough. At the end of that 2 weeks, they were able to start working. So mission accomplished. But I think that my approach prepared me better and was better. So what I did was a 4-hour tutorial on YouTube of how to build a to-do app in React. So I said, I'm not going to spend any more than 4 hours on a tutorial. And the reason I wanted to do that as like the first thing I did was just to get a broad picture of like, you know, what tools are available in the language or the framework, you know, how are things built, like how is it structured, what's the, you know, the larger 10,000 foot view of working in this language, framework, whatever. So I did that 4 hours, and then I started doing the rewrite. I started building. And, you know, we weren't supposed to start early, but I did. And, you know, there was some discussion about like, well, you know, you haven't learned it yet. Like, do we really want to keep this code? Because, I mean, you're writing it, but you don't really know what you're doing yet. And, you know, my point was, I said to them, like, this is how I learn. So, like, what I would like to do is either what I'm doing, or I would like to not write code for 2 weeks and do some like project management help, like help prep tickets for the street ride or something. And you know, they didn't want to do that, and they let me keep going on writing the code, even though I didn't know React very well. And I think the reason it works better for me, and I think in general, you know, backing up again, I think it's true that people have different learning styles. I think that's a thing. But I think it's universally true that project-based learning yields better results as it applies to learning across the board, despite your learning preference. It just does. So I think the reason that I appreciate building projects is because, you know, the motivation behind what you're doing, right? If you're just building a project that's not for anything, then it's throwaway. It's throwaway code, right? So I'm going to build this project in React, and it's not going in my portfolio. It's not helping me get a job. It is only helping me learn this language. And then after I, you know, I'm done with it, I might as well delete the repo, delete the code off my machine, whatever. It might as well not exist because it serves no purpose other than teaching me the language. And to me, that's not enough of a reason. So when I'm working on the rewrite in this example, I am, you know, working towards getting this thing built so we can get it to production, so people can use it, so that we can make money, all the things, right? So I am doing something towards a larger goal, and that's the purpose of my life, you know, as it applies to work, is to be doing this. And so my motivation is there, right? And so, you know, using that logic, you could say like, well, why do you suggest building starter projects then, for people who are trying to get into projects, into software? So I suggest 3 to 6 small projects before you do a larger project, which is real world. But so the question could be asked, if that's the case, like if you don't believe in building things that aren't for a larger purpose, then why do you tell people to build starter projects? And I have an answer for that. The answer is, when you're first starting out, those projects serve a purpose, right? They are going into your portfolio to help you find a job. So they are not throwaway because they are proof of your ability, and they help communicate your ability to employers. So as long as a project has a purpose, has value, you know, you're getting something tangible out of it, whether that be an interview or, you know, potentially making money on it, or you're contributing to the success of a company, one of those things, then I think that it has value. And I think I've talked about all of the things I wanted to talk about.